painting friends. Today we're going to paint a flower scene in front of a barn. And all we're really going to see is the wood from the barn. We're not going to be too zoomed out to the point where we can see the whole barn. But we're going to see these flowers up close with like a nice wooden panel background. So I started out with yellow ochre, then I used some cadmium yellow light, and I used some of this medium magenta pink. Always need lots of white. Sap green. It says hooker's green, but it's like a sap green. Also going to use some of this mid green. Going to use some of this Mars orange. Going to use burnt umber. Also going to use some Prussian blue. And we're going to use some mauve pale, which is like a faded violet purple color. And black. I'm going to get this color, which is a light blue violet, which is great for some of the flowers. Okay. And for my brushes here, we have, I'm just going to try to use 4 brushes. We'll see how that goes. So I have a medium flat tipped brush like this guy, which is good for like the blades of grass and for the wood paneling in the background. I have a fine round tipped brush, which is good for some little flower petals and also some lines. I have a medium round-tipped brush, which also can be used for some of the flowers. And I have a medium to small-sized angled brush, so this is also good for nice straight lines and some stems on the flowers. And this canvas here is a 12-inch by 12-inch canvas. I covered it with brown paint because I had painted something previously and I painted over that. Just to give us a nice clean slate to start with. I painted it like a neutral brown. It's kind of dark, but it'll just make all the colors look more vibrant as we start to add things onto the painting. Alright, so to get started, I'm going to work with the background first. And our background, since my canvas is already brown, I don't have to go too crazy with making the brown background, but if your canvas is still white, you're going to need to use more brown than I will be needing to use here. So I'm mixing brown with my Prussian blue and a little bit of white. And that's giving me a really cool gray brown color. I'm just gonna start making up and down motions. If you wanna thin the paint down a little bit, then just dip it in the water, or you could use a medium if you prefer. Basically, we're just making these up and down movements. Adding more white, some brown, and some of that blue. So the more white you add, the lighter everything's gonna get. And I'm just making the same back and forth brush stroke movements, up and down. It's giving me that distressed wood look. You want to try to keep everything as parallel as possible. Darken things a little bit. And it's nice when the paint is a little dry, you get that little dry brush look. You get a little bit, it gets a little streaky, but that's exactly what we want for this distressed wood look. Okay, we're gonna take some more brown, white. Let's add a little bit of that orange brown color too. And we'll just start adding more up and down lines. Add some more white. And you can also try turning your brush this direction to get lines that aren't quite as thick. And we need some black. Just go up and down, evenly spaced. Some more of that light orange brown color to warm things up a bit. Or some more white even. A little bit of that nice yellow ochre color. Take all the paint off of that brush, wipe it off with a napkin, just take some black, and I'm going to dip that into the water a bit here, and I'm going to work on doing a couple little like splintery, so I'm holding the brush, I'm not holding the brush this way, I'm holding the brush this way and going up and down, so I get nice thin little lines here. Gonna add like little knots in the wood. Take a little more white here and work on this spot again. If you make a mistake, you can let it dry and then come back to it later, or you could just, paint over it with a thicker layer of paint. You got options. Unless you're working with watercolor, then you're stuck. Then you gotta start over. Alright, so I think I got the wood looking, somewhat natural here. It's kind of hard to stop. I like to keep adding more and more detail, but I'm gonna force myself to stop and work on the flowers here soon. Just give like a couple little highlights. Okay, cool, there we go. So now we got our wood panel background, which is like the barn, and now I'm gonna work on the flowers in the foreground. So I'm mixing my Prussian blue with that sap green color, and that's just gonna give me like a nice base to work with. I'm gonna add some yellow to that just to bring that green a little bit later up, and then I'm just gonna start by doing like these little crisscross patterns with the brush, and I'm just really quickly adding these brush strokes here and just kind of trying to cover the bottom of the painting. So look, this is about halfway up the canvas if you can see that there. I'm not going and making a perfect straight line. I'm using quick brush strokes, so it's kind of almost making it's like giving like a little dry brush effect and like fading out, you know, into the background that I already created. You don't want to have like a hard solid line here. You want it to kind of brush off into that, almost fade into that wooden look. If you need to mix more paint, we used green, blue, and yellow. I'm just gonna bring that all the way down and cover the whole bottom of the canvas. Alright, nice. So now we can start to add. So I've only used one paintbrush so far, and now I'm thinking I might only need 2 paintbrushes for this whole piece. I might only need these 2. Alright, so we'll put those other 2 to the side. And I'm going to keep working on the stems on the plants here. So now that I have my background all done, I have a base color for the bottom. I can start to add some stems and some plants shooting up. So I'm going to do that. So I just mixed yellow with this like emerald green with some yellow ochre. So that emerald green is not a very natural green, so I wanted to warm it up a bit with some of my yellows. Alright, so I'm just getting a nice good application of paint on the brush so it's not totally saturated in paint, like with paint dripping off of it, but it is covered. So, you know, you don't want to have, you know, like all this excess paint on there. You want to have a good amount so that when you make a nice straight line, like so, that you're not making a mess. So you're just taking your brush kind of slowly, not too quickly, and you're not holding the brush down too hard. If you hold the brush down harder, you're going to get a thicker line. See, like that? So the lighter you hold your brush, the more thin of a stem you can get. And I'm just throwing some stems in for now. We want some to go off the canvas. You don't want these all to be perfectly centered on your painting, because in nature you would not really find that. And they don't always have to have the same thickness going all the way up. Some of them are going to be a little thicker. And I'm just throwing some of these stems in random spots. Don't make them all parallel either. Make some of them kind of crisscross and go diagonally. Different directions, different thicknesses, just like you would see in nature. Alright, so I got some of those in. Now I'm going to take some more of my yellow, and I'm going to take some of my sap green, and I'm just mixing right over the spot that I already was blending. And I'm going to take some of that periwinkle too. Let's just see what happens there. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Okay, we'll take some of this green too. Alright, and now I'm going to do some, we have a different type of plant here that has like little stems coming off of the main stem. So I'll just do that there. Just kind of let all these plants overlap each other until you get a nice good coverage and you have covered the point where you have that transition between the wood and the plants. You have it all nice and covered up. Okay, and then on this side we have some darker. So I'm going to take some more Prussian blue, I'm going to take some brown, and we'll take some of this yellow ochre, and let's take some white too. So this is like a gray green, and again, going to get most of that excess paint off the brush, but still make sure the brush is covered. And this one has some nice thin little lines here. Come off of that main stem. Things are a little bit covered covered up in the background, and that's fine. I want the background to help add to the atmosphere in the painting, not be the main focus of the painting. So we are covering up bits of the background. Alright, I think I got these ones pretty accurate there. Now let's take, so I wiped my brush down a little bit and got some of that excess paint off. Now I'm mixing that emerald green color with my yellow. That's a nice bright green, and we're gonna use that. Got some sunflowers, so I'm gonna take some yellow ochre too, and we'll take some sap green, and we'll take some pink too. I just want to keep changing these greens. We don't want all these greens to fade into each other, so by adding some warmer and cooler colors that are not green into your green, so by adding some of these colors into your green that are not already green or yellow or blue, you're getting more variation in your greens. Okay, so the sunflowers have like these little heart-shaped leaves that have a little bit more of this green in them. So making like little heart shapes. They're not all going to be perfectly facing forward. Some are going to be kind of facing to the side. Some of them are going to be facing away. We'll do another one of those. Like right here. All right, now I'm going to take some of that sap green and some of that blue and some purple. Ooh, that is a strong purple. We're going to add some more green and more blue to make up for that purple. Okay, and now I'm just going to kind of, oh, you know what? Let's add some yellow too. There we go. And that warms it up a bit. And then we can just kind of add some little spiky, like grassy lines, just so that we have a little bit of variation in our background. We don't want to leave too much blank space there. Okay, now I'm going to mix that emerald green with the sap green, and we have some, we're just kind of like just making random little dashes here and there. If you're somebody that needs like specific instruction on exactly where to put a leaf for every single plant, then this is probably not your tutorial. You know, you want to kind of have some freedom to play with the colors, and you know, this where you're putting your plants doesn't have to look exactly like mine for it to make sense. Just trying to put as many little stems as I can that are not super detailed but are giving me some information. Okay, then we can mix that green and the other green together again, and we can start to add some more little leaves in here, different shapes and sizes. They're going to get darker towards the bottom, so you can just add some more blue in the leaves down at the base of your painting. It's really just kind of like little splotches of paint in there. Okay, now I got some more yellow, and that's going to help me do some leaves that are in the light. Just keep adding more yellow if you want to keep brightening it up. So, like I said before, the leaves that are at the way bottom are going to have more blue and green, and the leaves at the top are going to have more yellow and white as they're getting brighter. These are mostly the same plant down here, so this sticking with the same color green for your leaves in the foreground without adding too many other reds, purples, and browns and stuff is a good way to go, since these are all basically the same type of plant here. Alright, now put that brush in the water. I'm going to switch to my small brush, and I'm just going to get some paint on there, dip it in the water so I get it nice and thin, easy to work with, and just kind of draw a couple little lines there with my brush. And they don't have to come from, you know, the exact same spot. They can kind of go all over the painting. You don't want them to go all the way to the bottom. If they're bright, if they're like a dark colored one, we can go back and add some of those at the bottom. So we'll add some. You can kind of make it like flow into some of these. And now we can cover up some of those stems we just put because we'll have some leaves in front of them. So we're just doing lots of layering. Okay, sweet. Now it's time to work on the sunflowers just a little more because I'm not happy with this level of detail in the sunflowers. So I'm just gonna darken the stem a little on the one side. Just gives us like a little bit of shadow. And then I'm gonna put a little shadow in the center of the heart, coming down on the leaves and kind of under the leaves just a bit, just so we can separate things a little here. Then I'm going to go back with that yellow, ochre, green color, and we'll re-add those highlights. Do another little highlight on this leaf so it can stand out a little bit. Alright, cool, it looks good too. And we'll do a highlight on these too. So I'll just mix my green with my yellow, emerald green with the yellow, and some white. And that's really bright. So we're gonna add some yellow ochre to that too. Okay, and then we can add that little highlight on these guys here. So I'm just very lightly holding my brush, adding a little highlight, not covering entirely what I did, but definitely brightening it up some. And then we'll use a similar color for here. We're just going to add more yellow. And wet the brush down a bit. Just brighten some of these guys up. And we also need to add some leaves over here. So I'm going to take some of that color that was just there. Start to add some leaves. And we'll add some highlights on those leaves. And the leaves are just little blobs, you know, you don't have to make them perfect. And then we need a little bit of something going on over here too. So I'm going to take some of my blue and my brown, my blue and my emerald green, and that little bit of white that's already there. Dip that in the water a bit and just kind of run the brush over that. Give us a little bit of a highlight on these, even though it's still not quite as bright as everything else going on. Now we're ready to add the flowers. So we're going to start with the sunflowers. We have a nice brown center on the sunflowers, just taking some of my burnt umber, just like that. And then we have a nice orange yellow, which I'm just gonna use this yellow ochre color for now. And we have just kind of going around it in a little circle. You can like fix up the area right around the seeds a little bit there. Do another one right here around this central area. And the paint in the background is dry already, but if it was not dry yet, I would be really slapping on this paint because it would be blending with that background color, but it's not. It's being good. All right, we're gonna add more yellow. Clean off the brush there. And mix that yellow in with some of my ochre because that yellow is really bright by itself. And then just gonna take my little brush and start on the edges. Actually, I should start with this one because it's farther in the background. And then we're just starting with the outer edges and kind of bringing it in without completely covering up the yellow ochre. And then if you want to take your ochre again, even mix a little bit of that orange-brown color, you can go right around the seed area. Just do that and kind of make some marks moving up and out from that central area until you're happy with your balance between the yellows and the oranges. Just keep playing with it. Okay, so good. Sunflowers are done. Now we clean off the brush. I'm gonna take some white. I'm just gonna blend that right here where that blue is a bit, just so we don't have a super white, like super bright white. I want it to come down a little bit. Putting a couple little dots here. And then we have cute little yellow centers for these, which of course we won't be able to see on all of them, but on most of them we can. And then we can add some of this blue and some black. Okay, maybe let's not do black. Let's just do blue and white. More blue. Here we go. So I got blue and white, and that's gonna give me a nice little shadow color for this. So some little spots are more in shadow. So we'll just add that little blue color to the spots in shadow, and that'll give us some more depth on these pieces. And then we can even take some pure white when we want to add a highlight on these. So just taking some pure white. I guess a teeny little bit of yellow got in there, but no big deal. And this is just gonna go like right on certain little spots here that I want to highlight and make it look like the sun is bouncing off the petals. Okay, very good. I'm actually gonna take some of that yellow. I'm gonna throw little stems under these little yellow guys, little buds I just put in. Okay, cool. Very cute. Now we can use our pink. I'm gonna mix pink with white. And yeah, this color yellow, the ochre. That's gonna give me a nice, warm, peachy pink. And that's just for a couple little guys over here. It's like a little cluster of pretty pink flowers. So I'm starting out with this little base color. And then we'll add some more. And a little bit, we'll add a shadow here. So I'm gonna take this pink, add a little bit of black, just a little bit, because you don't want to go too crazy. We'll add some purple too. And actually, you know what? It looks like the shadow color is mostly just this actual pink. So I'm just gonna throw like little bits of that in here. Obviously, since the sun is above, is up in the sky, we're gonna have a shadow under these flowers, or towards the base. And then we'll go back with our highlight, or you can just add some more white on top. See, and the flowers don't have to have a perfect flower shape. It's kind of implied that they're flowers. And then one thing we want to do here is add some stems, like kind of in front of the flowers, or sticking out in front of them, or leaves or something, because these guys are little. Perfectly visible. They're kind of in the background a bit. All right, now we're gonna mix blue with purple, the periwinkle pale purple violet blue. And it's gonna give us a nice blue violet. Get this out of here. There we go. And this is just kind of everywhere in the foreground. And that's our last flower that we have. So if you ask me what any of these species of flowers are, I could tell you that's a sunflower, and that's about all I know. For you people that have your own gardens, or like to study flowers and like to know the different species of flowers, please leave a comment below if you know what flowers I'm painting, because I surely have no idea. Just really thickly applying this purple. In the background. Okay, then we're gonna add a little bit of black and purple. Gotta mix that in too. And a little bit of white too. And we'll just kind of put this in the bottom on some of these. Almost like separating the clusters a little bit. Kind of letting it blend right up into that base color purple that I made. And then the ones that might be like all in shadow, I'll just completely cover up. Okay, and then we just are going to use our periwinkle with a little bit of white. A little more white. I want this to be nice and bright compared to the base color. And we just put little dots. These are like little clusters with dots of brighter flowers on them. So when you kind of use up the paint on your brush, then you can go ahead and get some more paint on your brush. Try to kind of stick to those little cluster areas. And it's nice, the shadow color kind of will get on your brush, and you can just like use that to your advantage and dab and like add, it creates new little shadow spots that you wouldn't have been able to achieve. I'm just going to put a couple little highlights on these bottom ones. I might dull them down again. Let's see. Just take some of my shadow color. And we'll take some more blue. Just kind of pat that in here. There we go. Alright, nice. So now I got all these flowers in here. I want to add a little bit more to the stems and leaves in the foreground. So I'm going to take some blue and my yellow and some white. More yellow. More white. So we're getting it nice and bright there. And we'll do a couple more little stems. Just kind of leading up to the flowers a little bit. Kind of making things stand out from each other here. Oops, that looks like white. Then we'll do some more flowers. So we have like little flowers. I mean, leaves, not flowers. We have some more leaves down here. Kind of cover up the bottoms where the stems you just made are. Just kind of let your eye glance around and see if anything doesn't make sense. Like if you have a leaf or if you have a flower that's just like hanging there, like this one, doesn't have a stem attached to it, and add a little stem. You can add some more little branches and twigs and whatever you want to do to keep adding detail to your piece until you feel like it looks like it's all completed. You can even, like, you know, cover up some of these flowers a little bit. Something else that I needed to do here, because you're gonna have some leaves and stems kind of creeping up in front of things. Ooh, it's a thick one now. And I could keep playing with this and adding more and more layers for a long time. I think the last thing I want to do is just like fix this a little bit because it's kind of boring. So I'm just taking some of that green, took a little bit of yellow ochre, and just like really getting that brush wet so I can make really thin lines here. Just kind of letting these lines go all over. That's probably a little better there. Maybe we'll do a couple little leaves. We're gonna need to do shadows too. Some more blue back there. Let's build up the shadows some more. So that is it. I will call that a finished painting. And we're at about 45 minutes working on this piece, so that's not too bad. It might take a little longer for beginners or somebody that, you know, is really particular about where they're putting their shapes and their colors. I'm happy with the way it turned out. This is a nice little piece that would look great in a more farm style home or in a kitchen. And I hope you guys enjoyed creating this piece. Make sure you post your creation if you redid this piece on your Instagram and tag me at _painting_stoof, and leave a comment below if you have any questions or need some more advice for how you could create something like this, or if you have new ideas for a new painting tutorial you'd like me to make, leave a comment for that. Thanks for watching and happy painting. Bye bye.